Damn, what's his name? Max Remelt? Max has a wonderful face. Hello, my name is Chantel from Chantel is Probably Sorry, and today I'm going to talk about Sense8. I'm actually waiting for a friend to get back, so I wish he were here because he also watches Sense8 per my suggestion, and so, you know, he could contribute to this conversation, but he's not here yet. If he does show up, you know, I'll just sit him down with me, but I don't have anything written down that I want to say, so if I forget anything, I'll probably put it in while I'm editing, typing, you know, but so if you're interested in the show Sense8, you may know that it was canceled for season 3. That was a bummer. I was actually very upset about that. I was like pissed, and then I was just sad. Like, it was just, I liked that show a lot. But anyway, if you are invested in that show, you know it has been canceled. I know there's like a petition going around to renew it. So, I mean, I don't know how that works, but maybe it'll get renewed, maybe it won't. But as of now, it is canceled. And because of the fact that I kind of binge watched season 2 and didn't really have time, nor did I have the, not wit. Alright, the way I decided to start my channel is this. Like, I've been doing this for like months now. Months, maybe even like a year. I would just like record myself watching a video or watching a show and just not do anything with it because I didn't have a channel. I didn't know if that's what I wanted to do. And then I finally just up and decided, yeah, I'm going to start actually editing these videos that I'd been recording myself watching. And so, but at the same time, this was kind of in between me just recording for the heck of it and me recording with a plan. So like, I didn't, if you watch my Sense8 season 2 reactions, didn't really have a plan, don't really have things set up the way I do now. So I was not giving reviews as well as I was binge watching them. So I was just like, I'm ready to watch this. So this, I guess, will be my review. I personally think that Sense8 was an amazing show. I appreciated the concept. I appreciated the thought that went into filming it the way they do to show what other people see and what's actually happening versus what's happening within the clusters, what's happening in the psychic interactions and the telepathic or not telekinetic, but I suppose telepathic connections there. And I mean, and the fact that they actually filmed in those different areas of the world, as well as most of the actors, not all, but most of the actors actually come from the general area or cultural background that is being filmed. Like, for example, the woman who plays Kala, I think her name is Tina Desai. If I pronounce any names wrong, I'm very sorry, and I only know a few of their names anyway. She is actually Indian. Not sure from which part she is from, but she is actually Indian. And the man who plays Lito, I think his name is Miguel. Let me look that up because I'm not trying to be... Yeah, his name is Miguel. Max Remelt? Max has a wonderful face. Like, I always forget, and then I see his face and I'm like, wow, okay, great job. So I'm looking at the cast. Yeah, so the person that plays Lito is Miguel Angel Silvestre. I don't know. Wow, these people are all just so beautiful. Oh, look, Whisper's name is Terrence. And then Toby Onwimere? Mere? I don't know. But anyway, the fact that like, Tina is Indian and Miguel is actually Mexican, if I'm not mistaken, or that he's Spanish, or he is Latin, if not anything else. Like, even if he's not Mexican, he is from a Latin country. Let me look this up now. Actually, let me. Yeah, I'm very certain he's Mexican, but because I've done some. Is a Spanish actor, it says. Okay, we're just gonna say he's Spanish then. That's fine. And the woman who plays Sun says Duana. I'm sorry if I pronounce any of these names wrong. Is actually, to my knowledge, Korean. Let me look that up as well. South Korean. Aw, she's so beautiful. What a babe. Yeah, so she's Korean. Tuppence is English. So is Freema. I'll probably put pictures up while I'm editing this so you know who I'm talking about. And Toby, I thought he was American, right? He is American, right? Yeah. But his name, he must be of African descent. Based on the name, on his last name, he seems to be of African descent. He has to fake his accent for the show. Max, I think, is also German. These actors and actresses are actually coming from the cultures, most of them are actually coming from the cultures that they're supposed to be representing. Now, I personally cannot speak on the cultural representation in this show simply because of the fact that I am not Indian and I'm not German. Well, I am German, but that's because, like, I'm German by biology. My great-grandfather and grandfather are full German. My great-grandfather came here from Germany, and making my dad half German, making me quarter German. So I'm German, but I am not from Germany, therefore I cannot speak towards the culture. And as many people know, second-generation immigrants, which I'm also second-generation Jamaican, the culture can get a little lost simply from passing it down to someone who immigrated directly from that country to their offspring. That culture can get a little lost simply because the offspring, the children are not actually in that country where their parents are from. Yes, the language gets passed down. Yes, the foods get passed down. A lot of it gets passed down, but also a lot of it can get lost. And then imagine passing that down from the second generation, which is an already assimilated version of the country that their parent or parents have immigrated from, and now they have to pass it on to the third generation. So I'm just saying that can get a little lost in translation for people who didn't know. So the only thing German about my dad is German chocolate cake. I mean, like, he knows a lot of German history, but we don't actively uphold German culture within his home, or, you know, not the same way where in my mother's home we uphold Jamaican culture, and she's cooking Jamaican food and speaks patois to me. So I can't actually speak on the cultures in this show simply because I am not African. I'm African. I'm not from Africa. I keep talking myself into a hole. I do not live in these countries is what I'm trying to say. So I can't actually speak on cultural representation. However, I am also acknowledging the fact that just because I haven't seen it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I have not seen, however, complaints about the cultural representation in this show. If there are complaints about the cultural representation, send them to me. Like, you know, comment about it. I'm open to hearing these things, but as far as I know, like, you actually have all these people and all these different cultures present in this show, speaking on issues present in those cultures, about, like, homophobia, but also not only homophobia here in this country, America, but homophobia in Mexico. And the treatment of women in Asia, because for those of you who don't know, India is also in Asia, but however, it is in a different area. So, but like the difference between, for those who don't know, there is the sexism situation in Asia is particularly, and I don't want to say the word highlighted, but particularly present. Not saying it's not present here, not saying it's not present in other areas of the world, but it is particularly present. Like, it is much more noticeable. They don't just do it in a underhanded way, or they don't just do it in a way that you're not supposed to notice. They are blatant about it. Like, yeah, you're a woman, I want to talk to a man. You know, that is an actual situation that had been brought to my attention while I was in school, and just seeing it in this show is like, Thank you for bringing that to some people's attentions. And it just speaks on social issues and areas of the world. They touched on AIDS or HIV in Africa, and how some areas of the world are not as progressive as certain areas of the world, and something that is okay and acceptable here is not okay and acceptable here, and things that are treated better here, the same person can be killed for in another area. Not saying that here in America you cannot be killed for being gay, because you can, and people are killed for being gay, and people are killed for being black, being a person of color. People are killed for those things. It's just saying that it might be a more present threat or a more common occurrence in other areas of the world. And then to think about the fact that, if I'm not mistaken, half of the Sense8s are people of color. And this is just me talking about cultural representation and person of color representation. I haven't even begun to talk about the LGBTQ representation in the show, because let me tell you, Bay, Sun's person of color, Lito, Miguel, Be the Birds, Tuppence, Cafius, Quebec, and Kala. So that's 4 of them. And then we have Will Riley, Nomi, and Wolfgang. Yeah, so half of them are persons of color, half of them are white, half of them are persons of color. Not only persons of color, but persons of color supposed to be representing from these other areas of the world. I know that 3 of them actually are from those areas of the other areas of the world. I think that Toby, I know that in season 1, someone named, I think his name was Amel, was playing Cafius. Another thing that's interesting is the presence of African people and Jamaican people in the UK, or in the area that have like this whole second generation thing. Is again how like their parents are, they're like, even I'm talking in circles, how their parents have very distinct accents from where they come from, like whether it be Jamaica, whether it be Africa. Second generation assimilation happens, and then the offspring will end up having like English accents, even though they are second generation African. So yeah, second generation African immigrants or second generation Jamaican immigrants. And actually I have Jamaican family that lives in England, and Jamaican family, like my aunts or my mom's aunts that were born in Jamaica and maybe moved over there. I don't know the exact situation of how they wound up over there, but I know that they have children that are Jamaican, second generation Jamaican immigrants, but just have English accents, probably can also understand patois. And that's another thing is, because of the colonization that happened of the Jamaican people by the English people. It's very interesting being biracial, just putting that out there, because like I have English ancestors, and then I have Jamaican ancestors, and like being biracial in America. And by biracial I'm talking specifically because there are many different combinations of biracial or multiracial, but I'm talking about the black and white combination. It's really interesting, or like being an American, knowing that some of your ancestors may have owned other of your ancestors, and knowing that you have ancestors that may have been on this side and other ancestors that were on this side, and even just existing in this time period now, knowing that like I personally, like I have white family that I know are racist, that I know are racist. I don't even know them personally, but I know that they're racist. And it's really interesting, not really fitting in the middle. And this now I'm no longer talking about Sense8, although I do believe Nominita is supposed to be biracial. For some reason in the first season I didn't pick up on the fact that was her biological mother. I was like, oh cool. Like I really don't know what it was. Maybe if I go back and like rewatch the first season, I'll figure out what it was. But I think something was said that caused me to believe that Nominita was adopted, and it wasn't until like I actually saw her 3 dads in the same room that I'm like, oh, she's supposed to be biracial. But yeah, I didn't pick up on the fact that she was supposed to be biracial. But I mean, it's cool or whatever. Oh, and then there are the interracial relationships, and the fact that there is Is it a polyamorous relationship? I know the words. I know what a polyamorous relationship is. But I mean, it is a version of a polyamorous relationship if all three of these men love this woman and they are all co-parenting one child together. That is the situation in which Nominita was raised. She also grew up in a commune, right? Which is some sort of a group home, correct? Please correct me if I'm wrong. That's to my knowledge. That is a version of a polyamorous relationship, and I was like, wow, they have like polyamorous representation on this show, and not just in Amanita's parents, but don't get mad at me for this, but in Lito, Hernando, and Daniela. And here's the thing. When I see them interact, or when I saw them interacting in season 2, I was like, I think it's amazing that these three people can have a relationship dynamic in which they are all family. They buy houses together. They go to each other as family. They are all practically in a relationship. However, these two men are keeping their identity as gay men, and there isn't a romantic connection between, these two men and this woman. The romantic connection is flowing between these two men, and this woman is separate. We don't think she has feelings for either of them, do you? No. I think they love each other as family, love each other as a bond, and I just think that is amazing. It's literally almost like watching a polyamorous relationship, but understanding that these two men are gay and this is a woman, and they're just so close that they function as though they are all in a relationship together, even though there's no romantic connection there. And I think that's amazing to show that. And also, I don't know what I want to say next because I don't want to diverge too much. Yeah, while I'm already on the subject, I'm going to say that I also think that it is so amazing that they have a relationship in which a trans woman is dating a woman, because so many people do not understand that sexual identity or orientation, or whichever one you want to call it, sexual identity / sexual orientation is not just sexual behavior, and that sexual identity / orientation is different than gender identity. Sexual behavior, romantic attraction, and sexual attraction are all different things. So yes, gender identity and gender expression are different things, and both of those things are different than sexual identity, which are also different than romantic attraction and sexual attraction. Yes, see, that's a lot. It sounds like a lot. The point is everyone just lumps all of those things together. So when someone is trans or decides to transition or are non-binary or just don't fit in, whatever mold they're supposed to fit into because of their biology or because of their genitals, everyone just assumes there are the comments like, oh, we all know that you're just gay, just be proud and be gay, you don't have to become a woman or become a man or something, just be gay. People just assume, and by people I don't mean everyone, I mean some people, a lot of people just assume that because someone is trans, when they transition, or some trans people don't transition, but let's just say that when someone hears that someone is trans, they assume that they are also going to like the opposite sex, meaning that they're going to be heterosexual. No. Sexual identity is different than gender identity. Therefore, someone can be trans and be bi, or be trans and be pan, or be trans and be gay. The two are not mutually exclusive, and I think that it is amazing that they've decided to show that this woman is a trans woman and she's in a relationship with a woman, a cis woman, a woman, they're both women. And I think that is amazing and important, and even in... Now I'm about to start talking about LGBTQ representation, so let me backtrack just a little bit. And they have interracial relationships on this show. They have, I guess there's just 2 or 3. I don't know. The point is there are interracial relationships on this show. Interracial and transcontinental. across cultural boundaries. You know, I mean, like Will and Riley are not from the same countries. I'm not sure what the culture of Iceland is. For some reason, you know what? I don't know what it is. Therefore, I can't speak on the culture. But the point is, they are from two different cultures. And you know what? Maybe, perhaps, if they had kept. Stan? Oh. Don't mind me, I'm just talking up here. My camera's on. No? I don't think so. Anyway. Maybe if they had had a season 3 or it had continued the show, maybe we would see a little bit of the cultural differences there. I mean, we didn't get to see that. But then we also have Kala and Kala and Wolfgang, I'm sorry. You know, interracial, also transcontinental. It would have been interesting to see. Is that Kita? Oh, no, it's still you. Don't mind me. I'll try to keep it down. I'll be done soon.
Are you speaking another language?
No? Does it sound like I'm speaking another language?
Uh-huh.
Oh, sorry.
For me, I thought you were speaking French.
I wish. It would have been interesting, like, if there was a season 3 to see, because I mean, we already did see a bit of the cultural differences between Kala and Wolfgang. A little bit. Oh, Taji, you scared me. But we didn't really see a lot in their interactions. We see Wolfgang's culture. We see Kala's culture. We don't see those cultures interact as much, especially with the fact that for most of season 2, they weren't like really a thing because Kala got married and Kala's like, I'm not trying to cheat on this man. And so, like, you know, so but perhaps maybe if there was another season coming up, then we would have seen those cultural interactions or, you know, seen those things happen. And I am really disappointed about the fact that the show got canceled. But we also have Amanita and Nomi, and then also Amanita's parents. Again, I already talked on the polyamorous rep, and I don't know, there's so many facets of intersectionality in Amanita and Nomi's relationship. The fact that one is a trans woman, one is a cis woman, you know, one is a person of color, one is not. They're both part of the LGBTQ community, Nomi in more facets than one. And we never actually heard Amanita's sexual identity just put out there. Like, she didn't say I'm bi or I'm gay or anything. She hasn't said that, has she? Some people thought that some people think that she's bi or pan or something. I don't know. She never said it. I wouldn't be surprised either way. You know? I just think it's cool how we have these people, how they showed all these different types of relationships. You know, I haven't even started talking about the LGBTQ representation yet, but still, even in what I've already just described, that's so much. That's so much humanity. That's so much connection. That's so much normalcy/diversity. I use the word normalcy because that's what humanity is. It isn't just white people. It isn't just black people. It isn't just Asian people. It isn't just Latin people. It isn't just, you know, it's people. And it's not just straight people. It's not just neurotypical people. It's people who are mentally ill. It's people who are intersex. It's people who are ace. It's people who are aro. It's people who are LGBTQ. It's people who are straight. It's, you know, people who don't fit into boxes. People who are biracial, multiracial. People who are from this country. People who are from that country. People who don't speak. You know, it's just, we are people. And so, like, you know, oftentimes in media, we like to focus on one group of people or another group of people. And so when we finally get representation in a show, showing us, you know, different parts of the world, different types of people who have certain beliefs, people who think, you know, and behave a certain way, people who are a certain thing or identify a certain way, everyone's like, oh, this show is so diverse. But really, this show is so normal because it just shows you what humanity is and what humanity is about. And it takes these 8 people from all around the world who are different races, who are different cultural backgrounds, who are different sexual orientations, and, you know, who are on different spots in the spectrum, whether it be gender spectrum or the sexual identity spectrum. These 8 people from all around the world who are so different than each other, who just love and support each other. That was amazing to me. And before I talk about the LGBTQ representation, one thing that this show has managed to do is to make it so that I don't hate any of the characters. I love them all. I love all the, actually, I don't really like whispers that much, but you know what I'm saying? I love them. I love the interactions between Hernando, Lito, and Danny. I love the interactions between Hernando and Lito, between Nomi and Nominita, between Will and Riley, between Kala and between Kala and Wolfgang, between Sun and Detective Moon. Sorry for saying his name wrong in the reactions, by the way. And between Capheus and Zakia. And, you know, just there isn't well, you know, I was never like super, because of the fact that Kala doesn't love Rajan, does that, I guess I wasn't like super supportive of that relationship, but the point is, like, the main relationships, there isn't a single one that I'm just like, I don't like the fact that this is happening, or that I'm neutral on, because I can watch a show and be neutral in a relationship. Like, oh, that's cool. I'm glad these people are happy. I don't really feel any type of way. I'm not like super enthusiastic about it, nor do I dislike it. I'm just like, oh, that's cool, you know? But there are also the ones that I see it and I'm like, that interaction, the way they support each other, the way this relationship is building, you know, it's amazing. And they managed to make me love every character and every relationship. And, you know, I just think that it's amazing that a show can make you do that. That a show has managed to make me fall in love with their fictional characters and be really angry about the fact that the show is canceled. But yeah, before I just want to let y'all know that I just really loved that show. Loved the show. I loved the show. Each relationship to me was a pleasure to watch. I guess in a way I've already kind of discussed the LGBTQ representation. But I mean, I guess there's more I could discuss. One thing I didn't bring up already was the fact that, right, so again, I know that people think, or people have stated that they think that Amanita is bisexual or pansexual. So it's possible that she is. And then on top of that, you know, a bisexual / pansexual woman of color. On top of that, potentially having Amanita be that, we have Zakia, who is definitely, she never said a word to identify herself with, but what she described her romantic and sexual attractions as sounded like pansexuality. To have this intelligent, pansexual woman of color, beautiful woman of color, be the love interest for Capheus. Like, I'm like, I remember watching that. I was like, I'm just so glad that they did that. I'm really glad that they did that. Like, you know, great job. But, like, you know, I don't know. Like, you didn't have to do that, but you did it. And it's done. And it's not a big deal. She's pan and she's dating Capheus. No biggie. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But, you know, we don't treat it like that. I know alright, so I'm gonna, you know what? I'm upset now. I'm upset that I'm not gonna get to see Nomi and Amanita get married. There are certain groups of people who are already underrepresented, who already do not have many opportunities provided towards them. So, when there is the once in a while opportunity, perhaps, for the role of someone who's a trans woman or a trans person, and, you know, or a person of color, but in this instance, I'm talking about the limited opportunity for trans people as actors and actresses. There's already a limited opportunity there. Then when you take someone who is cisgender and give them the role of a trans person, when those trans people already don't have those opportunities, already just don't have the same opportunities that a cisgender person would have, I don't know, man. Like, what are y'all doing? I think it is so important when you have actual trans people playing actual trans characters. I think that is so important, and I'm so glad that whoever made that decision, I believe that it was probably the Wachowskis, especially since the Wachowski sisters, or the Wachowskis, whichever one you want to call them, are trans and have transitioned, to my knowledge. I did look it up again to make sure I was right. Lana and Lily. Important to have a trans woman in the cast because they are trans women, and they actually got a trans woman to play that character, and I think that is amazing. I just think that's amazing. There's so much about this show. I feel like that I'm gonna just forget stuff. The fact that they have 2 same-sex couples on the show involving 2 men and 2 women in the same show, I thought that was great, you know. And I think there are some shows, especially on big networks. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say. There are some shows on big networks that are scared. Either they're scared to do it or they're not allowed. They're not allowed to have same-sex couples, or if they do have same-sex couples on the show, it's going to be like one same-sex couple, you know, because it's not like gay people click up. It's not like gay people will have all straight friends. It's not like gay people literally flock to each other, or bi people, or LGBTQ people. It's not like they all flock together. But anyways, you just have like one gay couple on the show, or one same-sex couple, I should say, because, you know, saying like gay or straight couples, that in a way strips the people inside of those relationships of their actual sexual identities, which is why it is better to say, I understand that it's better to say same-sex couples or opposite-sex couples as opposed to gay couples or straight couples. I understand that. So if I slip up, I'm sorry, but I do understand that. And like they'll have like one same-sex couple in the show, and then on top of that, the same-sex couple will either be women, because there's a double standard in this country as well as probably in the world. I haven't been to other areas of the world, but there are some things that are pretty just present all across the world. Like, you know, racism and colorism and just hatred. There's a double standard that exists where it's like, if you see 2 men, it's disgusting. And this double standard, not saying that women do not also hold the same standard, but it's mainly men who I have seen hold this double standard because of their conditioning, because of the way they were conditioned. But, you know, it's just, but I'm not excluding women from that either. I'm just saying it's mainly men who I've seen do that. But the point is, people hold this double standard, and they're like, it is so disgusting for men to, you know, be together or, you know, love each other. And then when you see 2 women, it's for some reason more acceptable because of the gender roles. I think it's so interesting that there's even sexism ingrained in homophobia. It's alright for 2 women to do it because they're hot or something, or like, you know, I don't get that. So, but the point is, there seems to be, because of the double standard, a general receptiveness to women loving women relationships as opposed to men loving men relationships on the big networks or the television shows. So I'm glad that you have both on this show, and that the couples also get the same treatment. Does that stand? Stan? Oh, but he's here. Yeah. Little bitch. I'm good. How are you? Does he know I'm here? Okay, that's fine. I'm just doing my own thing. Doesn't matter. I just did a whole ass talk upstairs about Sense8. I don't even know where you were. That these couples get the same treatment, whereas on other shows or in television, and maybe it's just, I think that's also a Netflix thing, but I'm glad that the show was using that platform instead of being maybe on a big network or something where they wouldn't allow these things to be shown. So I mean, props to Netflix for that, but also Netflix, you canceled it, so I don't get it, but whatever. Anyway, you see these big network shows, and like, you know, you see the opposite sex couples doing all these things, You know, you see romantic and passionate exchanges and like morning after scenes, whereas you have the same sex couples and you just have like, you know, little pecks on certain shows, or implications of sex, or, you know, or like you know, you'll have the opposite sex couple, like, you know, in bed, no clothes, you know, just chilling, and like, you know, you only simply get implications of sex in the same sex couples. The point is they are not treated the same, are not afforded the same romantic gestures or passion, and maybe that has something to do with some of the actors on some of the shows, but it's also the networks and what is allowed. And so I very much so appreciate the fact that this show went there with that. And, you know, it's like, we're not afraid to show these things, and we're going to show these things. And they just did it. I can't really think. Oh, before I finish, I guess I should say something about Sun. Sun. And also, I'm going to tell you how the show ends, alright? But anyway, Sun. Sun's story was so tragic, and, you know, I'm glad that they were setting her up to have someone to actually be there with her instead of just like someone in her cluster. And, you know, I'm sure that I could go on and on. I've already been talking for 43 minutes. I could go on and on and on about things concerning this show. And you know what? We can continue this conversation in the comments, because there's probably some stuff I'm forgetting. Oh, the fact that the Sense8s all like really don't care who they interact with sexually within their cluster. Just saying that. It's like none of them are, you know, super frigid about them. They're all a little fluid in that aspect, you know. They're a little fluid like that. I think that's cool too. Sometimes you can just be fluid. I did see somewhere that, I think it might have been Lana Wachowski that said all the Sense8s were pan. But don't hold me to that. Don't hold me to that at all. I loved all the characters so much, and I just wanted them all to be safe. So because of that, and if I'm forgetting something, I will like put it in the comments, you know, or like put it on the screen right now. But I should probably be wrapping this up. I can't think of anything else I needed to say, but you know, I appreciated all the representation that show gave us, and I appreciated all the human connection that show gave us, and I appreciate the cinematography was amazing. It's like a giant art project, but captivating and interesting. That show, regardless of whether you like that show or not, Stanley said this, and Stanley is actually the guy that, well, it turns out he's outside now, but the guy that was supposed to, that I'm at his house right now. But Stanley said that it's like The Matrix. Regardless of whether you like The Matrix or not, most people who don't like The Matrix still acknowledge the fact that it was revolutionary, especially at the time that it came out. And these are Stanley's words, not mine, especially at this time that it came out. And Stanley also said that he thinks that Sense8 will also be one of these shows, especially considering the fact that, you know, the Wachowskis also made The Matrix and they made Sense8. But, that regardless of whether you like the show or not, you have to acknowledge it for that much, for its cinematography, for its concepts, that, you know, it's one of those shows. It's just one of those shows, and I'm not happy that it's canceled. Anyway, so here's what happened, right? So this is what happened. So everyone's gonna get married. Kala and Wolfgang are gonna get married. Moon and Sun are gonna get married. Capheus and Zakia are gonna get married. Capheus' mom, which I don't think we ever learned her name, we probably did and I forgot it, and then Silas, I think is his name, they're gonna get married too, and they're gonna be happy together. Amanita and Nomi are getting married. And in case I hadn't already said them, Fernando and Lito are getting married, and then they are also gonna live with Danny. What if Danny is their surrogate mom? Danny's gonna be their surrogate mom. Wait. Do they allow that in Mexico? Lito, no, because I wouldn't want him to have to move and erase his culture, well, simply for the fact of having a child. The issues that this show would have brought to people's attention. Anyway, like, why did they cancel it? Anyway, somehow, some way, Lito and Hernando are getting married. Will and Riley are getting married. And I think I already said, well, I think I said that Kala and Wolfgang, I just don't see Wolfgang as a marrying type. But for all intents and purposes, we're gonna say that Kala's getting divorced and getting married to Wolfgang. And throwing a couple kids in there, you know, for all of them. Little Sense8 children. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. They're going to defeat Whispers. None of the Sense8s are going to die. Everyone is going to live happily. They're going to be happy. Okay? Everyone's gonna be happy. That's what's gonna happen in this show. And the world will be happy as well. Everyone's gonna be happy. Alright? In my mind, everyone live happily ever after. They're gonna do something with Whispers, because now Whispers knows who Kala is anyway. So yeah, no one's gonna die. Nobody's gonna die. Everyone's gonna live happily. That's how this show ends, alright? Anyway, thank you for watching this video. I know that I said a lot of things, but this wasn't my favorite show, but it was like my second favorite show. It was like, someone's calling me. But so this is going to be one of those shows. And you know what? Thank you, Netflix, for the creators. Thank you to the creators of this show for creating the show. Sad to see it go. Very sad to see it go. It's been like a week since I found out it got canceled, so I'm not pissed. But I am very disappointed because I liked this show a lot, and I thought that it was an important show, and it was important to a lot of people. So but anyway, thank you for watching this. I hope you have a wonderful day. Feel free to leave a comment if you want. Please try to be respectful. I would like it if my channel could be a respectful place, and if we could all have respectful conversations together. I will 99% probably be respectful to you, so please be respectful to me, and if there are people who leave comments, respectful to them as well. So anyway, thank you for watching. Bye bye.